Okay, lesson 15, finding slope of a line given the graph. From our previous lessons, we find the slope of a line given 2 points and given the equation of a line. So this time, we're about to find the slope using the graph. So here are the following objectives. First is to find the slope of a line given the graph, of course. Second is to describe the graph based on the slope. Always remember that the graph of a linear equation is a line. It may be parallel to any of the axes or it may intersect both axes. The steepness of a line can be measured by the ratio of the change in the vertical distance y sub 2 minus y sub 1 to the change in the horizontal distance x sub 2 minus x sub 1 between any 2 points on the line. Let's put it on an equation. So the symbol for slope is m, so the ratio of rise and run. When you say rise, it refers to the vertical change in y, and when you say run, it refers to the horizontal change in x, as you see on the graph below. Let's have an example. Use the graph to find the slope of the line. So the line, as you could see, it rises to the right. So it falls or it intersects the y-axis as well as the x-axis. So how can we find the slope of this line? First is, as you remember what we've discussed from our previous lessons, that if it goes or it rises to the right, the slope is positive. So here, we are expecting that the sign of our slope is positive. Now, using the ratio of rise and run, we can count the number of units. So let's try a point wherein the line had met. Let's say this y-intercept -2. So from this point, we have another point. Let's say this point, +4 on the x-axis. Since these 2 points are met by the line, we can count the rise. So, sinabing rise, we need to go up. So from this point, -2, we need to count 1 and 2. So therefore, the number of rise is 2 units. And then the number of run going to the right, we need to count 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Therefore, we have 4 units of run. So our slope from our first example is 2/4. But remember, 2/4 can be lowest term, can be reduced to its lowest term, and its lowest term is 1/2. Therefore, our slope here is +1/2. Okay, let's check if our slope is correct by applying the formula of our slope given of 2 points. Since we used the y-intercept -2 and the x-intercept +4, the coordinates of these are, let's start with -2. So we have 0, -2, and another point of 4, 0. Okay, so let's check if our slope is correct. So our first point is 0, -2, and our second point is 4, 0. So what is our formula in getting or in finding the slope given of 2 points? We have y sub 2 minus y sub 1. Remember that this is the vertical change. And then x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is the horizontal change. So by substitution, our y sub 2 is 0 minus our y sub 1 is -2. We need to put parentheses to separate negative from minus. all over x sub 2, which is 4, minus the x sub 1 is 0, and then simplify. I'm gonna put a bar here to separate our solution since limited yung space. So what is 0 minus negative 2? That is positive 2. On the denominator, 4 minus 0 is 4. Then, reduce it to its lowest terms, that is 1/2. Therefore, we got the correct slope based on the graph. So going back here, again, you need to count the number of rise and the number of run. Second example. So we need again to find the slope using this graph. And as you observe that the graph of this example rises to the right. So we are expecting that the slope is positive. Now we need to count the number of units of rise and the number of units of run. Okay, so let's have a point here. Okay, I'm gonna use another color. Let's say there is a point here and another point here. You can use any of the points na kung saan na-intersect or nadaanan ng ating graph. Okay? So, meron tayo dito ang coordinates ng point na to sa below sa quadrant 3 ay negative, negative 1. I mean, negative 1, negative 1. Dito naman sa ating point of intersections, it is obviously dinaanan niya ang point of origin which has the coordinates of 0, 0. So from here, we can see that the number of rise here is 1 and the number of run here is also 1. Therefore, so yung slope natin dito is ang slope natin dito is 1 over 1. Kailangan natin i-simplify. 1 over 1 is 1. Okay? So, check natin using the formula kung tama yung pagpipilang natin. So, bakit siya 1? Kasi obviously, 1 unit rise, 1 unit run. Okay? So, let's check. Gamit yung dalawang points na kinuha natin sa line. Meron tayong negative 1, negative 1, at yung second point natin ay yung origin natin na may coordinates na 0, 0. At ating formula ay y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So, ang ating y sub 2 ay 0 minus ang y sub 1 ay negative 1. Inuulit ko, kailangan gumamit ng parenthesis para i-separate ang minus sa negative. So, ang x sub 2 ay 0 minus negative 1. Pag sinimplify natin, susulat ko rito, 0 minus negative 1 ay positive 1. Ganun din sa denominator. So, 1 divided by 1 is positive 1. And the line or the graph of the line na makikita ninyo sa graph ay it rises to the right. Third example, since nakikita ninyo yung orange dot na yan, we can start there sa point na yan. At ang coordinates ng point na yan, since nasa y-axis siya, ay 0, positive 3. At kung mapapansin ninyo na ang graph ng line natin ay pababa, decreasing. So, base sa pinaliwanag natin ng nakaraang lessons natin, if the line decreases, or it goes to the right, it goes down to the right, ang slope natin ay negative. So, from that point, from that y-intercept of 3, we can have the slope of, so sulat muna natin na ang ratio ng slope natin ay rise at run. So, bilangin natin ang rise. Magkuha tayo ng isang point let's say dito sa point na to, since mayroon siyang intersection at whole number siya, okay, meron tayong positive 5, positive 1. So, from that, bibilangin natin yung bilang ng rice. Gamit tayo ng ibang color. So, bababa tayo. Pababa ang bilang. 1, 2. So, ang bilang ng rice ay 2 units. At ang bilang ng run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 5 units sa run. Since ang ating graph ng line ay pababa, ibig sabihin ang slope natin ay negative. Okay? I-check natin sa pamamagitan ng ating formula. So, gamit ang ating y-intercept na 0, 3 at yung kinuha nating isang point na positive 5, positive 1, substitute natin siya sa ating slope formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So, meron kang 1 minus 3 over 5 minus 0. At ang 1 minus 3 ay negative 2. Ang 5 minus 0 ay positive 5. Ibig sabihin, ang slope natin ay negative 2 over 5 or negative 2/5. Okay? Sunod, pang-apat na example. So, kung mapapansin ninyo, ang graph ng line natin ay pababa din. So, ibig sabihin, ang slope natin ay negative. Ngayon, bilangin natin ang rise at run. So, kumuha tayo ng point sa ating line. Doon na tayo sa may, gumamit tayo ng ibang kulay ng 10. Doon, kung makikita ninyo, tinamaan niya ang y-intercept na 0, 1. At, pwede tayong humanap pa ng isa pang point. Gumamit tayo dito, since yung coordinates na yan ay positive 2, negative 2. Sakto kasi siya. Pwedeng ibang mga points. Yun nga lang, kung makikita ninyo kasi, mag-i-estimate ka kung ano ang eksaktong, yung bilang ng coordinates na tinamaan ng line na yan. So, from here, magbibilang tayo ng rise. 1, okay, gumamit tayo ng ibang kulay. 1, 2, pababa siya. 3. So, 3 units pababa. Bilang tayo ng run. 1, 2. So, 2. 2 units run. So, meron tayong slope na 3 over 2. Since ang graph natin ay pababa, it goes downward, down to the right, negative siya. Ngayon, i-check ulit natin sa pamamagitan ng slope formula. So, nag-start tayo sa y-intercept na 0, y at ano nga yung isang point? Positive 2, negative 2. Okay? I-substitute ko na sa mismong slope formula. So, negative 2 minus 1 over 2 minus 0. So, meron kang negative 3 over 2. Ang slope mo ay negative 3 over 2. Ngayon, paano naman sa example 5? So, kung makikita ninyo, ang graph ng vertical line ay, ang graph ng line na ito ay vertical. So, tignan natin. Kung natatandaan ninyo, nabanggit na natin ito sa ating previous lesson na kapag ang graph ay vertical, ang slope natin ay undefined. Ipakita natin na undefined ang makukuha nating slope. Ulitin ko yung sulat. Undefined. Hirap lang isulat dito sa phone eh. Yan, undefined. Okay? Ngayon, bibilangin natin yung rise. So, dito siya sa point na to, pababa siya, papunta dito sa point na to, gumamit ng ibang kulay. So, bilang 1, 2, 3. 3 units, pababa. Okay? Over run. Ngayon, mapapansin niyo, meron bang run or horizontal change? Change in Y? Wala. So, ibig sabihin, 0 yung run. Kung isi-simplify natin yung 3 divided by 0, that is undefined. Sunod, ang graph ng line natin ay horizontal. Nabanggit na natin na ang graph ng line ng isang linear equation ay kapag horizontal ito, ang slope ay 0. Tingnan natin kung 0 nga ang lalabas. Bilangin natin ang rise at run. So, simulan natin sa y-intercept na 5. So, meron bang bilang ng rise? Wala. So, that is 0. Bilang ng run, sabihin natin itong point na to. So, ibig sabihin 1. So, 0 divided by 1 ay 0. Ang slope ng horizontal line ay 0. Take note, if the line rises to the right, the slope is positive. And if the line rises to the left, the slope is negative. If the line is horizontal, the slope is 0. And if the line is vertical, the slope is undefined. So, para matandaan nyo, huwag niyong kalilimutan si Mr. Slope Man or Mr. Slope Guy. Okay? That's the end of our discussion. Hope you learned something today.